When I first got started in Airbnb, I made a lot of mistakes. I thought the money would just roll in if I furnished a flat nicely and I stuck it online, but the reality was just completely different to that. One of my first deals looked great on paper, cheap rent, decent location, easy to manage, but after a few months I realised I'd overlooked the most important thing. Occupancy was all over, reviews were okay, but not amazing, and I wasn't making the profit I expected. That experience taught me valuable lessons. Small details make massive differences in this game. Whether you're buying your first property, or you do rent to rent, or you do Airbnb management, the way you set up, the way you design, and the way you position yourself in Airbnb will decide whether you can scrape by or scale up. Fast forward to now, and we manage close to 100 units across the UK, and we're turning over more than £1 million in revenue, and we've done that in this year alone. I want to share with you the 7 biggest lessons we've learned to increase bookings and income across Airbnb and Booking.com and make you stand out in a crowded market. Step 1. Location matters. Let's start with the location first, because this is where it all begins. Early on, I saw what looked like a bargain for our portfolio. A property outside the city centre, about 20 to 25 minutes away. The rent was cheap, the place was decent, and I thought, perfect, this will just cash flow from day one. But here's the truth to it. Guests don't want to be too far away if it's a small flat. They want convenience. They want to be near the centre, the train station, or the tourist attractions. There is one exception to this though. If you're running a bigger house, whether it's a 4 or 5 bedroom, something that can sleep 8, 10, or even 12 people, guests are more flexible. Large groups will happily travel 20 to 30 minutes away if it means staying together under one roof and saving money comparing to booking multiple properties in the same location. But with smaller units, location is everything. That bargain flat that we got outside the city centre only made us about 40 to 50% in occupancy. Meanwhile, a very average 2-bed flat we had right next to the train station in the city centre ran at 90% occupancy from day one. Same city, same platforms, completely different results, all because of location. So before you sign that lease or before you buy your first Airbnb deal, ask yourself this: who is going to book here? Is it contractors? Is it tourists? Is it families? Remote workers? What's driving them to your property? Is it universities, events, major employers? How easy is it to get around? For example, in a city centre, is there public transport? Is there parking? And what's the competition like? How are other host pricing nearby? Get this part right and everything else becomes 10 times easier. Step 2. Maximising sleeping capacity. Once you've nailed in your location, the next biggest thing you can do is increase your sleeping capacity. Most new hosts think in terms of bedrooms. They'll say it's a 2-bedroom flat, so it sleeps 4, but that mindset will leave you money on the table. You need to think about the perspective of how many people your property can comfortably sleep, not just how many bedrooms it has, because that just does not matter. I'll give you a quick example. We had a 2-bedroom flat. It was originally listed for 4 people. We swapped the beds for zip-link beds and got an extra bed in there so we could set them up as doubles and singles. We added a sofa bed in the living room. Suddenly it slept 7 people. Here's the result. The average daily rate went from around £100 to £140 a night. Same rent, same bills, same property, but an extra £40 every single night. That's £1,200 more per month, and over a year that's well over £10,000. And it completely changed the types of bookings we attracted. Couples and small families still booked with us, but suddenly we were getting groups of contractors too. A team of 4 lads working on a construction project nearby were originally looking at 2 hotel rooms. This was going to cost them anywhere between £120 to £150 a night each. But when they saw that our flat with 2 zip-link beds and a sofa bed, they realised they could get all their stays together for around £140 total per night. It's completely cheaper for them, it's completely easier for them, and for us it meant a week-long booking at a higher nightly rate. So whether you're leasing a flat on rent to rent, or you're buying your old place, or you're doing Airbnb management, the rule is the exact same. Don't market your bedrooms, market the capacity. Bigger groups mean bigger bookings and bigger profits. Step 3. White bedding converts. This one sounds almost too simple, but it's incredibly powerful. We first heard about it at an Airbnb conference earlier this year. One of the speakers shared a statistic with us and it completely blew us away. They said switching to hotel style white bedding could increase your bookings by up to 72%. At first I thought, what is this guy on about? Surely it can't be that big of a difference. But when we actually rolled it out across our portfolio, changed our listing photos to obviously entail this, the results spoke for themselves. Our occupancy jumped up across the board, and when you think about it, it makes complete perfect sense. With coloured or patterned bedding, guests start to wonder if it's actually clean or not. But with white bedding, there's no doubt about it. It looks professional, it photographs beautifully, and it instantly reassures people that the place is spotless. I've even had guests mention in reviews that the fresh white bedding made them feel like they were in a hotel. And that's exactly what the level of trust you want to build is. For around £100 to £150 per room, this is one of the cheapest upgrades you can make, whether your own property or whether you're doing rent to rent, but it's one of the most effective because trust directly converts into bookings. Step 4. Add a games room for families. At the same event we attended, they shared how family-focused design can drastically change revenue. That caught my attention because families make up a huge percentage of Airbnb customers. Parents don't just want somewhere to sleep, they want activities, distractions for their kids, and a reason to spend more time at the property rather than going out and spending even more money elsewhere. So we've already tested this before we even went to this event, and the results were undeniable. We had already tested this ourselves, but I went to look back at the actual results. And we managed 2 properties that are completely identical. They're 2 streets apart, they're the exact same layout, same number of bedrooms. The only difference is one has a games room. It's nothing extravagant, a pool table, a dartboard, some board games, and a couple of bright LED lights to make it feel fun. That's it. But over 3 months, the games room property bought in £15,000 and the other one £10,000. That's £5,000 difference in just 90 days. The average daily rate on the games room property was about £25 higher per night. The reviews constantly mentioned the games rooms, the families loved it. Groups of friends even loved it, and even contractors too. The contractors who were staying at our properties keep booking the same properties frequently. This is a perfect example of designing not just for the space you have, but for the guests you actually want to attract. Step number 5, target remote workers. Remote working has exploded in the last few years and Airbnb has adapted to it, and that's one thing I love about Airbnb. At the same conference we went to, they shared a stat that really stuck with me. 48% of guests filter by friendly workspaces, almost half. That means if you don't have one, you're invisible to nearly half your searches in a platform. And here's the thing, most landlords and rent-to-rent operators ignore this. They set up a property, you get the nice decor, they get a nice sofa and a TV, but nowhere practical to sit down and do work. The fix is cheap and easy. A small desk, a comfortable chair, decent lighting, and ideally fast Wi-Fi. That is it. Maybe £100 to £200 in total. But the total return can be massive, and we've seen it firsthand across our units. We had properties that were mainly weekend lets, great occupancy, Friday to Sunday bookings, but then empty for a week. After that, adding a proper workstation and marketing it as laptop friendly, they started pulling in longer bookings from remote workers. It's not even just the remote workers, it's the corporates and contractors too. A week, 2 weeks, even a month at a time. And here's the big benefit of that, is a lot of stability. With long stay bookings, you're not constantly chasing new guests or you're juggling changeovers. You've got reliable income locked in and it smooths out your cash flow. So whether you're buying or doing rent to rent, if you've not set up for remote workers, you're gonna be leaving money on the table. Step 6. Premium features like hot tubs. One of the strongest ROIs I've seen is adding a premium feature. Properties with hot tubs and saunas see an average increase of 17% across the board. A hot tub turns a property into an experience. Couples book weekends away, families book school holidays, groups of friends book birthdays, guests rave about it in the reviews, and those reviews fuel even more bookings for you. Once the upfront cost and maintenance are covered, it keeps paying for itself year after year. If you've got outdoor space, a hot tub can be one of the most powerful upgrades you'll ever make to your property. Step 7. Modernize outdated kitchens without a full refurb. The last step is one of my favourites because it saves so much money. Most landlords or rent-to-rent operators look at dated kitchens and think, I'll need to rip it out completely and it's going to cost me £10,000 to £15,000 for a new one. But you don't. Instead, wrap the worktops, paint the cupboards and swap the handles and add a fresh splashback. We've done this for a few £100 and the difference in photos is massive. It looks like a full refurb and the guests pay like it is. I'll give you a quick example of one of our units. We had a property with an old tired kitchen, nothing technically wrong with it, but it did look outdated. We spent about £300 in total. We added a vinyl wrap for the counters, a tin of paint for the cupboards and new handles and some fresh paint. The photos after that looked like we'd ripped the whole thing out and replaced it with something brand new. The result of this though, our average nightly rate went up by about £15 to £20 per night. Multiply that over a year and you're talking thousands more in revenue without spending a fortune up front. And the best part to this is it works for both owned properties and rent to rent. If you're leasing, it's still worth doing because the ROI is so massive for not just you, also the landlord. The landlord gets a nice looking property, the guests will pay you even more and everyone wins. Here's the bottom line. If your property isn't in the right location, you'll always struggle. If you're not maximising sleeping capacity, you're leaving thousands on the table. And if you're not using white bedding, you're losing trust between you and the guest before the guest even books. Families, remote workers, premium travellers, they all pay more when you design them in mind. Adding the simple upgrades like a game room, a hot tub, a modernised kitchen, and you don't just compete, you will dominate. That's exactly how we scale from one underperforming flat to nearly 100 units nationwide, generating over £1 million in revenue this year. And numbers don't lie. Listings that make a few of these changes will see bookings rise by more than 50%. So the question is simple. Do you want to keep guessing, or do you want to know exactly what your property will be earning? Click the link for a free rental evaluation. If you want to learn more about how to start your own Airbnb business, DM us on Instagram. I'll leave a link in the description below.